Hi guys, welcome to another video tutorial with Build with Mr. Lee. In this tutorial, we're going to be talking about conditionals in PHP. So let's go to the basics of conditional, like this definition. What are conditionals? Conditional statements allow a program to make decisions based on certain conditions. They execute different blocks of code depending on whether a condition is true or false, or whether a condition is met. So if a condition is met, a block of code will be executed, else the block of code will not be executed. So we would actually be using these various operators during our conditional statements. Operators like the comparison operators, we are going to also be using our logical operators. The greater than, the less than sign, the less than or equal to, the greater than or equal to, the equal to, the triple equal to, and not equal to signs for your comparison operators, and your and or for your logical operators. Okay, so in order to understand clearly what conditional statements are, I will be using this traffic light analogy. So let's say you have a vehicle, which will be seen on our next screen. And as you can see, there's a traffic light, there's a condition. So you have three traffic lights, the red, the yellow, the green. The red means you should stop, the yellow means get ready, green means go. So these are conditions for this vehicle to move. So currently, as you can see on the screen, the traffic light is saying red. So let's move this traffic light to yellow. So now you see the car is getting ready to move. So that's the yellow condition. And once it sees the green condition, it means the car would move immediately. So cars move. So that's how a condition, the conditional statement operates. So enough of these explanations. Let's get our hands dirty. Let's write some code. So we'll be looking at the syntax of conditional statement. Here is the syntax for if statement. There's a there's a word called if. There is a bracket and curly braces. So your if statement starts with an if, a curly brace that carries the conditions, and here you can put your code. You can enter your code here. Then there is one thing that associates with an if statement, and that's an else. So you follow an if by an else statement this way, you write down the word else and curly brace. So this is a syntax for your if and else statement. So just in case you don't actually know how to launch your terminal, let me reduce the size of this stuff so we can actually see clearly. So you go to this menu bar, you type on these three lines, you see terminal, and you click on new terminal, and it's going to show you new terminal. Or you can actually use your controller and your backlit. It brings out your terminal. So for you to launch this particular program on your terminal, you click on PHP conditionals.php. The only reason why you can actually use PHP on your terminal is because you have XAMPP installed on your system. If there's no XAMPP, you can't actually use, your terminal will not recognize PHP. So you can see that there's nothing printed on the screen currently because our condition is not met. So let's say this age is 19. Of course, 19 is greater than 18, and let's print back our terminal. Let's see what happened. You can see that you can actually enter a pop appears on the screen. Okay, let's launch this on the browser. So you go to your browser, you go to localhost, you /net/conditionals.php. So you can actually see it's coming out on our browsers. So let's do this. Let's move this a bit further. So now this condition was met, and that's why this guy was able to be printed. So now let's look at else. Let's say you want this statement. So if somebody is less than 18, you want something to like print here. So you can say echo, you cannot enter the pub. So if somebody puts an age that is less than 18, what should be you cannot enter the pub. So let's refresh our page and see. So of course, once this condition age is greater than 18 is not met, what comes next is your else statement. So your else statement is true once the condition on your if statement is not met. That's for else statement. Now let's look at else if. So let's say you have a condition. Okay, let's say you have a variable here called gender, and let's say gender is equal to male. And if gender is equal to male, echo you are a male. Else if gender is equal to female, echo you are a female. So something is wrong here. Always use the dollar sign to indicate a variable. Else echo who are you? That's the question. So so guys, note that we're actually using if statement, else if, and else together at the moment. And this is how it is written, or this is the right way to write to combine them. So you can actually have multiple else if statements before your else, but in this case we are just using one. So now the next thing is the condition. So here is gender equal to male. Note of equal to is different from normal equal to. This is a comparison operator, while this is an assignment operator. They are two different things. This checks if what is on the right hand is equal to what is on the left hand. So if gender here, which is equal to male, which is this, is the same thing as this, then this line of code would come would run. Remember we said that a conditional statement is used to check a condition. If it is true, the block of code will run. So this block of code, echo you are a male, will run. Else, if this gender is equal to female, this block of code will run. If it is not any of these conditions, then your else statement will come to play. So let's check this and see how it works. So you can see, let me comment this code here. So you can actually see if I refresh, your male shows. If I change this to female, it will change to you a female. And if I change this to something else, like anything, let me just put anything here. To show who are you, will show. So this once the conditions are met, the block of code will run. If the conditions are not met at all, then the else statement comes to play. So let's look at switch case. Now let's also still use this gender in our switch case. But the thing with switch case is actually used when for conditions that are very simple. Like something like gender, you can actually use a switch case because you have two conditions. Or if you're using something for like multiple condition, a switch case might not actually be the best choice. So things like gender, you can use um, a switch case. Also, if you want to actually check if someone is an adult, a teenager, a youth, or a child, you can actually use switch cases. So those are simple cases you can use switch case. So let's look at the switch case. So now, what's the syntax for switch case? We have the switch, we have the condition, switch please, the condition, and you have the various cases. You put a case, you put the condition the case is going to check, and there's a semicolon, then you give more like a body. You do something. Then there is one particular statement that comes with switch case, that's break. That means if this particular condition is met, break out of this code block. That do not do anything else, any other condition that is inside this code block. Then the last thing is you can have as much case you want to have. Then at the end, you would actually have a default. A default is like the else in if conditions or if statements. So default runs if none of the cases are met. So it breaks and that's it. So let's try gender. Let's use the gender. The condition now is to check is this gender. The condition is to check is gender. So if we check our gender, if the gender is male, case male, let's still say, let's echo your male. So in the moment you see gender to be male, it echoes your male. Once it sees this break, it is going out of this block of code. You can see that the block of code contains three different codes entirely, two cases and one default case. So the moment it sees male, it should just echo this and break out. You shouldn't go down to look at these other cases. You should just break out and leave this block entirely to the next line of code if there's a code below. So we have this, and let's go for female case female. print echo you are a female, echo you're a female, and I've said what break is already. Defaults, we can actually use echo who are you. Remember to always terminate your code with a semicolon and break. So let's comment this and see how switch case works. So comment this out and we define our gender here. Go to male. So let's refresh this page and see what happened. Fine. So sweet. So the condition here you're checking for is the gender. So if it is male, of course it is male. It's to print your male. Let's change this to female and let's refresh. It should print your female. Nice. And let's change this to what we don't know. Let's say who are you comes out. So that's it for switch case. Okay, so guys, in addition to the various if statement conditionals we've actually learned, we still have what we call nested if statement. The nested if statement is utilized if you want two conditions to be met before a block of code can be run. So let's assume before somebody can actually enter a pub, the person must be a guy, there must be a male, and also the person must be above 18. So it's just two conditions before you can enter a pub. So we have an if statement that says if um, gender is equal to male, then there is another if inside here. If age is greater than or equal to 18, let's send this block of code here. Then echo you can enter the pub. Then we can put an else, echo you are not eligible. What's the issue here? What's the issue here? So there's no semicolon. Always remember to terminate your code. So we are good. So now I would define two variables here called gender, which is equal to, let me make it 18 and let me call age is equal to 18. Sorry, gender is supposed to be male and age should be equal to 18. Now if these two conditions are met, what is going to show on the screen is enter. All other codes are commented. So enter, you can enter the pub. So these two conditions are met. So if I refresh, you can see you can enter the pub. But if I change this to female, you're not eligible comes out. If I leave this as male and I change this to age 17, nothing shows. Nothing shows. Yes, because at first these are male is the gender here is male, and if statement it enters this block of code, but since it enters block of code and the second statement is not met, nothing will actually show. That's correct. Except these guys are two different things. That's when this else statement will work. Yeah. So also you can actually use your logical operators to actualize this instead of using the nested if statement. So if I actually have the case where I say gender is equal to male and age is greater than or equal to 18, then echo you can enter the pub. The and logical operator is used because it is only true when two conditions are true. So if the gender is equal to male and age is greater than or equal to 18, it means these two conditions are met, then it can actually go through. Then else you can echo you're not eligible to enter the pub. Whereas the or condition can also be used when one of them is actually true. So let's say whether gender is equal to male or where's the statement use this one or age is greater than or equal to 18. So it could be that the age is equal to 18 or greater than or equal to 18 or the gender is equal to male. Whether any of the conditions is met, the person can enter the pub. You can enter the pub. But if none of these conditions are met, then the person is not actually eligible to enter the pub. You're not eligible. So this case can be used when you're not gender biased. Both a male and a female can actually enter the pub, but the person must be greater than or equal to 18 years. So that's for the conditional. So let's test this now. As you can see, Gender is equal to male and age is equal to 17. Let's test one after the other to confirm how they are working. So you see if gender is equal to male and age is equal greater than or equal to 18. Of course here the age is equal to 17. So you're not eligible would come out. Then the next case is let's increase this to 18. So you see if it's greater than or equal to 18. So even if it's equal to 18, you can enter the bulb will appear. So you can enter the bulb. Now let's check it for the or operator, like the or. Be reminded that for the or keys, the both condition, any of them could be true. If one is true, the other is not true, the block of code will run. So it's either true, but both of them are false, the condition will not run. So if gender is equal to male and age is equal to 18, of course there's male, the two conditions are met, you can enter the bulb will come out. So let's change the gender to female and the age is still 18. You can still enter the bulb will show. But if we change to female and age is 17, you're not eligible, will appear. So that's it for using logical operators with your if statement instead of using a nested if statement. So the next one is what we call ternary operators. Now, I actually prefer like using very short ways to actualize my if statement, my conditional statement, especially when the conditions are not very long. So for ternary operators, here's the syntax. You have a condition, you use a question mark to check if this condition is true. If the condition is true, you should do something. If it is true, then you use a semicolon to represent the else statement. So what should happen if this condition is not true? So if it is false, the next addition should happen here. So let's say we want to check our gender, if it is male or female. Now, if it is male, we want it to print your male, else print your female. Now, for the fact that echo is a construct function, we can't actually use it inside a ternary operator. But this is how we can actually apply echo to a ternary operator though. But the major thing here is for you to get how to use ternary operator. So if gender is equal to male, remember the next thing, this is our condition. The next thing to do is our question mark. If it is equal to male, print your male. The reason for else is colon. Else, you should print your female. Female. So if with this single line of code, we should be able to let's comment this out, please. We should be able to print whether the gender, the person is a female or not a female, using this gender, using ternary operator. So if we refresh this, you can see you're a female. If we change this to male here, and we print, you see your male appears. So that's how ternary operators works. For the last part of this video, we are going to be looking at comparison operators. Now, if you actually look at the code on the screen, you have triple equal to, and we'll also be using double equal to. Let's compare them and see their differences. So for the double equal to looks out for if a value is equal to another value. So let's say you have two variables here, a is equal to 1 and b is equal to 1. These two values are 1. So of course, if a is equal to b, will return equal to equal. But the comparison operator, the three equal to sign, checks both for the value and it checks for the variable type. As you can see here, this variable type is an integer, whereas the variable type for this is a string. So it will return not equal to, because it checks both for the variable type and the value. So let's confirm that on the screen, not equal. So that's that for this video. Please do well to like, subscribe, share the video, and if you enjoy what I'm doing so far, you can actually comment. Thank you very much. See you on my next video.